Today, I'm going to share with you 10 ways that I make my travel far more affordable so that you can travel with less stress and more often.
3.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Empathetic Wanderers. My name is Jeff, and on this channel, I give you ways to deepen your travel experience, access otherwise inaccessible situations, and one of the questions I get the most, I feel like I almost get it daily, is how do you travel so much? How do you travel cheaply? Well, I guess the answer to the first question is that I do it very cheaply. And so I just wanted to come up with 10 ways and share with you guys on how I make my travels significantly cheaper, which enables me to go to other places and really have, better experiences and quite frankly, just a lot less stress. So if you like content like that, if you like kind of tips and tricks on travel and making it cheaper, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the content I'm putting out. If you enjoy content on Asia, specifically Japan as I live in Tokyo, or Korea as I was there before Tokyo, make sure to hit that notification bell. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as I keep putting out vlogs, language videos, just really anything to kind of deepen your travel experience. So let's get to the video. All right, so for the first tip here, airfare. Airfare is obviously one of the most expensive parts of travel, especially if you're coming from the United States to somewhere like Asia. One of the best ways that I have learned to cut that cost is by getting connections. I know that it can be like a painfully long transit time. Like obviously you're not in the air this whole time, but some of those flights can be like a total like 30 hours of flight time. But I have found that like if I go from LA to Beijing and then Beijing to Tokyo, the cost of the ticket can be like $450 round trip. Whereas if I go from LAX straight to Tokyo, it'll be more like $800 or $900 USD. Sometimes I don't have the time to make all those transfers and potentially miss a flight or get my luggage lost or something like that. But if you are traveling for like maybe a week or two, I would just highly suggest try and fit everything in a carry-on so that you don't have to worry about potentially losing your luggage, and it's just easier to get around. Because the reality is when you're traveling for a couple weeks, like you stick to a couple pairs of clothes, like you stick to a couple outfits because they are the most useful, and you kind of get over like, oh, I'm gonna wear 40 outfits while I'm abroad. At least this is how I travel. My second tip would be bring a carry-on only and a backpack or like a bag, and just pack lightly. That helps with travel costs a lot, because then you also don't have to pay for the luggage if you have to pay for luggage on your flight, but it also just makes it less stressful and it makes it easier to get around. So yeah. And then definitely always take public transit. If you haven't seen my video on Korea tips, I will link it up here. One of my tips on traveling in Korea is to never use taxis. Taxis in Korea aren't as expensive as like Japan, but definitely don't take taxis unless you really feel like you need to. Of course, if it's a safety issue, then take a taxi. But depending on the country that you're going to. I'm obviously speaking more in regards to Japan because this is where I live. But there's very good public transportation, and oftentimes there's bus transportation that like people don't even think about, but makes it way, 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 way cheaper. If you're going to Japan and you'd like to take a train, but you don't want to, you don't want to take a bus, you don't want to take a taxi. If you take the Narita Express, that if you are coming back to the airport within 14 days, you can get a round trip ticket that's discounted. It's $40 US. So that is a really quick, it's like I think 35 minutes into downtown Tokyo which is much faster than it normally is. So that would be something that I would recommend. If you haven't already seen, if you are traveling to Japan, check out my Narita Airport to downtown Tokyo. I'll link it here. It is pretty easy to get from the airport to central Tokyo, but that's one of the ways that I keep costs down is I take buses everywhere. Whenever I'm traveling, I just figure out the bus system, and often it's like way less complicated than I like make it out to be, but that saves a lot of money. The next thing is do not buy metro tickets. If you're going to take the metro all the time, don't buy individual tickets, or the bus. Don't buy individual tickets for the bus. Get a rechargeable card. In most countries these days, there are rechargeable cards, whether it's Japan or Korea or Hong Kong or wherever it might be. You can usually go to like a convenience store or at the station itself. In Japan, it's called the Passmo card. In Hong Kong, I believe it's an octopus card. So there's always, you can always do that. You just recharge it, put a certain amount of money on it, and if you're using that card, you pay less. It's not a lot of money less, but it is less. Also, on top of that, if we're talking specifically about Japan, you can also look into the Japan Travel Pass, which is specifically for foreigners, only for foreigners that are not on like a proper visa, like on a they have to be on a tourist visa, and you pay a lump sum for this pass, and it gets you on every public transit, so buses, trains, the high-speed rail. So the only time that it's really useful is if you're going from Tokyo to Kyoto, which is what a lot of people do, or Tokyo to Osaka on the high-speed rail, because the high-speed rail is about $100 one way, maybe even like $115 one way. And if you do the Japan Rail Pass, which I think is it depends on how much time that you're using it for, but I think it's like $250 US. It makes it a lot less expensive because every ride on the Tokyo Metro is between like $1 and $4. So if you do it a lot of times, it really does add up. The next tip, obviously, is just going to be accommodations. I never stay in hotels anymore. They're just too expensive, and frankly, I prefer Airbnb. So if I have the cash or if it's cheap enough, I do Airbnb. But even if not, check out hostels. Check out Hostel World. There are a lot of really great hostels. I know coming from the United States, like I don't know of very many hostels, but a lot of people that I talk to in the United States are like, they think that they're really not going to be great, but they're often really nice, and they're often rather private. Even if you're in a room of 10 people, there'll be like a cubby system where you have like your bed and you have something that you can close, so like you have privacy. There's a plug and a light and a little shelf. So it's a really effective way to cut a significant amount of cost, because in Tokyo, I'd say the average price of an Airbnb is probably like $60 to $70 per night, and the average cost of a hostel is about $35 to $40. So you can kind of cut that in half, and then a hotel is like $150. So that is one of the ways that I cut a significant amount of cost. The next one is going to be finding a grocery store. I even do this when I like book my place, so I like know when I get there where the grocery store is. Hostels often have kitchens, so this is actually applicable to people that stay in hostels as well. But especially if you have an Airbnb with a kitchen, go to a grocery store and get essentials. Get like a big thing of water. Get things for breakfast in the morning. If you like to have like a cold latte or something like that, it's going to be way cheaper at a grocery store than it is going to be at a convenience store. So grab a bunch and put them in the fridge. But definitely go and try and cook as many meals as you can. I would say that that saves me hundreds and hundreds of dollars on my trips, because the cost of eating out is so exorbitantly more expensive than eating in. It's kind of insane. Like I can literally fund a full nother trip by just like eating 2 meals from the grocery store rather than eating all 3 meals every single day out. So the next tip, I guess it's not a tip, it's more like a recognition. I know that when you're traveling to a place, often food is part of the reason. So just map out what you want. If you're going to Tokyo, be like, all right, I need to have sushi. I need to have ramen. I need to have udon. I need to have this thing. And then you're like, okay, I've got 10 days. I've got 7 meals I must have. Like, let me figure out exactly when those meals are going to be, and I'll map around it. And you can usually figure out about how much that's going to cost, like just doing an online search. But like sushi in Japan, like at a decent restaurant, is usually going to put you out like probably about $20 US. So just knowing that and then saying, okay, well then for, breakfast, I'm going to have like a banana, an apple, some yogurt, and, a piece of toast, which is super, super cheap at the grocery store, but cuts out having to go to Starbucks and spend $10 on a pastry or something like that. It's also healthier. The next tip would be, I kind of mentioned it a couple tips ago, but if there's anything that you do daily, make sure you buy that like in bulk. So I really enjoy having drinks in the morning, like a coffee or a water bottle or a tea or something like that. So just make sure that you go and buy like a massive water bottle and then refill it. Or in Japan, you can just drink tap water, but I like to get like these like, little espresso latte things. So I just buy those in bulk, and they're usually 20 or 30% cheaper than if I was to go to a 7-Eleven every single day, because that cost adds up. It's like so easy when you're traveling to just be like, oh, pop into this convenience store, this convenience store, this convenience store. And then you realize you spent like $300 over the course of 2 weeks buying like random things that weren't even actually your meal. And then on the continuing on the food path, continuing on the food point, as I think food is one of the places that you lose the most amount of money when you're traveling, is I never go to restaurants unless it's like, a restaurant I really want to try or something like that. I never just wander into a restaurant on a major tourist path. So if there's like a major street where there's like lots of shops and lots of tourists and stuff like that, I would never go to a restaurant right on the street. I usually, when I get hungry, I just go like 2 streets over, and you'd be so surprised how much it will change the price, just because it's not as easy to walk into those places. And to be honest, oftentimes those are the times that I have like my best meals, because the quality is, it's just better. So definitely try and find restaurants off the beaten path. If you're going to go to a tourist area, go there to wander around, but maybe like try and find your souvenirs and your food in other places, even if it's just like an alleyway or like a couple streets away from where you are. And then the last one is probably one that a lot of people do already, but try and work your credit card to make it more, like try and work your credit card to use miles to pay for the trip. If you're not at least just paying for the whole trip, the ticket with miles, like you can at least subtract a certain amount of money off of your credit card statement if you charge everything that you're buying when you're abroad. So definitely look into the credit cards that you have, or look into new credit cards that might have like no foreign transaction fee, but also have like big sign up bonuses. So if you know that you're going to go, to Japan, and you're like, I'm going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 or something, I know I'm going to spend that. There are lots of credit cards that will say, if you spend $3,000 in a month, or in 90 days, we'll give you 90,000 miles or something like that. And obviously you're not going to, well, people live in a high life maybe, but not me, spend $3,000 in a month. But if I know that I'm going to, I might as well get the free money that this credit card company is offering me. So that is definitely something that you can look into as well. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that and found it informative. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps me understand what is working and what might not be working. Also, let me know in the comments below if you have come up with any ways that maybe I didn't mention to lower your costs while you're traveling, because I'm also looking for more ways to do this. So if you like this kind of content, if you like Asia content, Asia vlogs or language, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the content. Check out the playlists that I've got on my channel so that you can catch up on all the other videos that I've put out on Japan and Korea. I really appreciate anyone that's watching. Let's just keep being empathetic, keep wandering, keep spreading positivity. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.